All right. What is up, League? This is the first official podcast of the year. I'll try to do as many as I can this year. In the past, it's been kind of hard continuously doing them every week. So sometimes there may be weeks where there's not a podcast just because there's not always content within the league. Going over the same teams over and over again can sometimes be a little boring. There's really not much to say some weeks. Now, if you guys want to hear stuff about just talks of the NFL, I'd be willing to do things like that, or any other ideas you guys have. Also, if you want to come on the podcast, let me know. I'm fine filming them alone, but I'd rather have someone on here with me. Either way works, but I'll try to put out as many as I can. So, as you can see, I was looking at some of the teams over here, looking at Ironman's team. And so this will be like a post-draft rankings. I thought about a lot. And honestly, I know we say this every year, but this is probably the hardest time I've had, making a playoff, or not playoff bracket, but like a rankings. Because all the teams are so freaking close and, potential, and I think anything could go right or go wrong for anybody. Last year by week 2 I had lost my first and fourth round pick. That stuff happens. So these rankings could switch a lot by week 2. Because you never know what's going to happen. You get screwed, and it's just what it is. But the difference between first and 12th in these initial rankings is so close, and it was very, very difficult to do. But with that said, I'm not going to dance around it anymore. I was going to get right into it. And the team I like the least, and I got to be honest, is the Bosses. He's got good options. He's got Kyler Murray, who's obviously going to be freaking good, and Dalvin Cook, who will be good. Darrell Henderson, I have questions about, but, from what I've heard, with Cam Akers out, he should be a very good option. But, you just never know. I know they added Sony Michel. I don't know how much that'll actually affect, because Sony Michel's been pretty hit or miss over the last couple of years. Terry McLaurin, I think he's a really good player. Washington, I don't always trust. Fitzmagic's lined up for QB for them this year. And, there's a reason he's gone around the NFL. You never really know what you're going to get from him. So Terry McLaurin may have some inconsistency, but I think he could have, honestly, some of the highest scoring games this year. Corey Davis, I'm not really in love with. I honestly don't even remember who's playing quarterback for the Jets right now. I should have looked that up. Sorry. Yeah, Zach Wilson. So I guess he's starting for him. I don't really trust the rookie. That's all I got to say about Corey Davis. He was all right in Tennessee. He was never what he was supposed to be, so I don't really love it. George Kittle, he'll be great. He's going to be awesome no matter who's playing quarterback for the 49ers. But they have been getting a lot more options, like Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. So I don't know if that'll take away from George Kittle a little bit, but he's a beast, so it doesn't matter. Don't love Laviska. I had him a little bit last year. He was kind of a pain in the butt to play with, just because you never knew who Gardner Minshew was going to throw to. But with Trevor Lawrence, back there, things could be very different if he can get the protection he needs. But looking at the preseason, there wasn't much of that, so we'll have to see. With that said, Abbas's starting lineup's all right. But I really do like his bench. I think Javonte Williams has a lot of potential to break out. Obviously, he has to handcuff Alexander Madison to his Dalvin Cook in case something goes awry. McCole Hardman, he's a good player. He's on Kansas City, so obviously he'll have his opportunities. But I don't think he'll ever be the breakout with Travis and Tyreek there. And he's kind of limited. Michael Pittman Jr., I've seen him do some crazy things in games, but I don't really think he was consistent last season in his breakout games. He'd have a good one, and just kind of fade off for a little bit. And then the rest is, I don't know, don't really care about that much. But yeah. For number 11, you may call me a hater because I never liked this team last season, and you'd be right to say, and I guess you'd be right to say I'm a hater since I always gave him the last, and he came in second last year. But Houday and the Blowfish, I don't really like. He has potential to, honestly, in my opinion, drop some of the highest points just because he has Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. And if Aaron Rodgers has a crazy game, which will happen, Devontae Adams is going to get like everything of it. So I think Tate potentially could be the highest scorer this year, especially pairing that with Travis Kelce. He'll be disgusting. But overall, I don't love the running backs. Gus Edwards, I have my questions about. I don't really know, how great he's going to be. J.K. Dobbins tore his ACL, I think, or he's out for the season. So he's going to be the starter, and I don't really think Le'Veon Bell being added to the practice squad is going to do anything. I know Justin added Lev, but, who cares? Chase Edmonds has James Conner back there with him, so, it's kind of confusing. And even with Kenyon Drake not playing the best last year, Chase Edmonds was never, brought in to be the feature back. Robbie Anderson, he's back playing with Sam Darnold. But in my opinion, Robbie Anderson's always been pretty hit or miss. I prefer, Teddy, to Sam Darnold. And so I don't really know how that's going to be. But, Robbie Anderson's a big, deep threat. Jamal Williams, don't love it. DeAndre Swift is the guy in that backfield. Now, if DeAndre Swift gets hurt, we'll be having another conversation, but, who cares? And then the bench, looks all right, but it's a lot of guys who I don't ever think will actually break out. Jamar Chase will be good, so that's a pretty good option to have back there. But Devin Singletary, I think he's just kind of lost it. Michael Gallup, he's going to be overshadowed by CD and Amari Cooper. Had him last year, and that's all that happened. Devontae Parker, I think, is good potential. Tevin Coleman plays for the Jets. Write him off. Who cares? Hunter Henry's for New England. I don't really know how Mac Jones is going to be. And then the rookie for the Patriots, I don't really care about him that much either because, you never know who the Patriots are going to use. But I guess there is potential there for that. All right. Going on to number 10. I hate to do this, but Rockstar Domination. I was not in love with this team either. And all these teams are good. It's just that they have more question marks to me than any other teams. I would say the bottom three mostly. And so, Lamar Jackson, he had a little bit of a recession last year, but I still think he'll be a solid option. My dad's always had troubles with the QB. Whether it's dealing with Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins or Matt Ryan, getting the right one. So I definitely think it's good for him that he secured a good QB. Antonio Gibson, he was solid last year, but always playing for Washington. As a Dallas fan, I'm not in love with that team, and, I don't ever think they're going to be that great. DeAndre Swift, I know there was some health concerns about him, but I think when he was, the featured back last year, he was honestly really freaking good. So I think there's some high potential on that. Tyreek Hill, you don't have to ask about that. Allen Robinson should be good. I think he's almost QB proof at this point. He's played with so many over the years and so many bad ones too that, whether it's Andy Dalton or Justin Fields starting, he should be a solid option. Now, if he gets Justin Fields, I think things could get really good, but I still don't like Andy. Sorry, Tate. Tyler Higbee, just a basic tight end. He has Matt Stafford thrown to him now, and I never really thought Matt Stafford is using tight ends like crazy. He had Eric Ebron for a couple years, and Eric Ebron's kind of faded off into the Colts, and then wherever I think he's on Pittsburgh now. Kenny Galladay, he's a great player when he's in, but he didn't play all of last year with, I think, hip issues. Allen was always talking up how he was going to be back, and, he never was. That's just how it is sometimes. the health of players is not what you expect, and so I was kind of trying to avoid Kenny Galladay in the draft because I don't know, I didn't like it. Defense kicker, don't care about that. And honestly, I do like my dad's bench. Melvin Gordon, early season could be pretty good, and Melvin Gordon's still a good back. I think he was still ranked he's still ranked the 13th running back in fantasy. So even with them drafting that rookie, he's still a viable option in my mind, even if the Broncos offense isn't going to be insane. But hopefully they're a little better with the QB switch. A.J. Dillon, I don't think he'll ever, match up with Aaron Jones, especially after him signing that contract. But if Aaron Jones were to get hurt, good potential upside there because, the Packers offense is going to perform. Matt Stafford, I really wanted him, and I'm kind of got screwed on this because my dad decided to take another running back in the 9th or 10th round, which is a little annoying to me because he was the last good option, and so but he'll probably never really play Matt. I guess he might. Jalen Reagor, don't really love. They got Devontae Smith, and I don't really trust Jalen Hurts. Rashad Penny. Kind of got overshadowed by Alex Collins in the preseason, so people are questioning him a little bit. And from what I've seen from Rashad Penny, he never really performs at the level he needs to, and he's behind Chris Carson, which Chris Carson will get hurt. And I know I have him, but it's whatever. Jared Cook's old, Giovanni Bernard's old. That's all I gotta say about them. All right, so on to number 9. We have All I Do Is Win. Honestly, this is when it got extremely difficult for me to make a decision here. And I like Christian's team a lot. But I don't love the Myles Gaskin in Miami. I know they said there's no running back by committee, and I know he played really well last year. But Tua does not instill a lot of confidence into me to get ahead early. And so if that doesn't happen, then they're going to go to the throwing game. And Myles Gaskin will probably get left out a lot. OBJ, he had his good first couple years. Maybe leaving the Giants was not the best decision for him because he just hasn't been that great on the Browns. Him and Baker have never really connected in the way that, you think they should. And Brandon Cooks, I don't want anything to do with Houston. Tyrod Taylor is horrible, could make Keenan Allen look bad. So, but with that said, Brandon Cooks has always been a 1,000-yard receiver, so maybe he has potential to, make Tyrod a little better, but I doubt it. But with that said, I like Josh Allen a lot. He has potential to be the number 1 QB, possibly even MVP this season. And he also has Derrick Henry, so I think from those two alone, Christian could win a lot of games. And then you throw DK Metcalf into the mix and Darren Waller. And, there is a lot of potential good upside to Christian's team. And I think OBJ has potential too, but him and Baker have to connect at some point for that to happen. And I thought Christian's bench was all right. I didn't love it. Ronald Jones has potential to be good, but as long as him and Leonard Fournette are fighting for that spot, you never really want to play either or in my mind. Especially after Leonard Fournette, got a lot more carries in the playoffs, when it actually mattered. So I don't know how much I trust Ronald Jones. And then Marquise Brown, I've never been a fan of. I feel like he's just going to be a bust in my mind. Jarvis Landry, gets a lot of catches, so that might be pretty good for fantasy. But Baker's doing too many TV ads. He's got to figure that stuff out first. And then the rest of me is just, I don't know. I don't really care about Tyrell Williams that much. He's been a disappointment for the Chargers. Joe Burrow, who cares? Malcolm Brown. Good potential backup for Myles Gaskin. I know he had a couple good, runs for the Rams against Dallas 3 years ago in the playoffs, but the Rams line at the time was one of the best in the NFL. I think they had 5 yards before contact or something ridiculous. So he's not in the same situation. And so we're going to move on to number 8, in which is the Holmes and Watson. And so Leo's team is honestly a really good team too. But, Josh Jacobs has Kenyon Drake in that backfield with him now, which I think Josh Jacobs will remain like the premier back, obviously. I think he's much better than Kenyon Drake is, but it's Kenyon Drake there that does, voice some questions. DJ Moore is good, but he's got Sam Darnold thrown to him now, and I'm not a Sam Darnold fan. Never have been, probably never will be. But maybe that now that he's out of New York, he'll be better, and he'll help DJ Moore out a lot. Damien Harris don't love as a flex option. If that's what you got at flex, that's a little bit scary to me. I don't trust New England in fantasy wise. But Leo's got Dak and Aaron Jones, who are going to be really good in my mind. Even though there are questions around Dak, he could potentially bust this year after injury, but I think Dak will be fine. Justin Jefferson is going to be disgusting. Hate on Kirk Cousins all you want, but Kirk Cousins has had a lot of good fantasy wide receivers over the years. Logan Thomas, he was pretty good last year. I think he ranked like 6th on tight end. But, anything after like Travis Kelce or like Darren Waller and George Kittle, they're all the same. Steelers defense won a lot of games for Christian last year. Honestly, was it last year or 2 years ago? There was a season when they won a lot of games for Christian, so maybe they'll do that for Leo. Young Koku's a cool guy. But I really like Leo's bench more than anything. I think Tyler Boyd's got potential options, even though they have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins back there. But Tyler Boyd's still really good. James Conner, he has potential with Chase Edmonds being the premier back to emerge. And when James Conner's healthy, he's a good guy, good running back. Pittsburgh thought he could replace Lev. They were wrong. But, he has potential option to be good. Marvin Jones, I like him. He's still ranked like 18th running receiver last year, 17th. Yeah. And so he's one of those guys who's always moved around. I've never understood why that's the case, but he does. So he's probably a pretty solid option to have on the bench. And then Gronk, Tom Brady might give him something, make him good again. Don't love Jameson or Gabriel Davis. Just write him off in my mind. We'll probably have him gone by week 4. Alright, moving into number 7. I have Flo Knows, my own team. And my biggest issue with my team is my quarterback situation here. My dad stole Matt Stafford from me. And there's many other times I was going to take the quarterbacks early. Allen took Patrick Mahomes the pick before I was going to take him, and it kept kind of getting pushed down. And so I'm stuck with Ben Roethlisberger and Baker Mayfield, which is a pretty big issue to me. And then also Saquon, is he going to be as good as he was in the past? I don't know. Hopefully. He doesn't screw me twice in a row. I love Chris Carson. I think in Seattle, he'll always be great. He's definitely the premier back. The other guys are not nearly as good as him. Stephon Diggs will always be solid. I mean, he was great with Kirk Cousins. Josh Allen's even better than Kirk, and so, he's going to be disgusting. Mike Evans, Tom Brady likes to spread the ball around a lot, so I don't know how to quite feel about this pick. But as a wide receiver, too, I'll definitely take the guy who was like 10th ranked last year. Mark Andrews will be great. He's in my opinion, the best receiving option in Baltimore. Brandon Ayuk was really good when he was playing last season, as long as he's not hurt. And then those two I don't really care about. The bench is honestly, I'm pretty proud of it. I like Cortland Sutton a lot, and I think Antonio Brown has potential to be one of the best players in the league again, as long as he can control himself. But obviously that's why he was a later pick, and so that's that. Kenyon Drake has potential in Las Vegas in case something happens to Josh Jacobs to be an RB1 in my mind and kind of fix my running back situation because I only really have two guys who I really trust. So if anyone's looking to trade, some of my receivers for running back down the line, I may look into that. And that's about it on my team. All right, moving into number 6, I have Team Brax. And honestly, Braxton has one of my favorite cores in the league. I like Alvin Kamara and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and A.J. Brown a lot. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I do have some questions about because he was like running back 22 last year and like on Kansas City's offense. And so that to me, he didn't, quite break out the way I wanted him to when I was watching him play. But the main concern is his QB situation. I don't trust Jalen Hurts at all. Maybe it's because I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm hating on him, but who knows? So that's that. But Deontay Johnson, there's a lot of receivers on that team. Ben's going to throw the ball a lot, so it may not be the biggest deal. But I feel like he could be pretty hit or miss on some weeks. Just because you have Juju and Chase Claypool, which Braxton also has Chase Claypool. Kind of funny. It'd be kind of hard to choose the right one in my mind. I love Robert Tonyan as an option. He had some big games last year, but the guy in Green Bay is always going to be Devontae. Adam Thielen in my mind, especially the number 2 again with Justin Jefferson ahead of him. But Adam Thielen always manages to pull something up, so he'll probably still be pretty good. Raheem Mostert, great option. I know they have Trey Sermon now, so it's a little bit questionable, but Raheem Mostert when he's playing is always really good. Braxton also chose to have some risky picks with Michael Thomas and William Fuller. Will Fuller is always getting suspended for something. I feel like every time I look at him, something's going on. But he's a good option when he's in. And Michael Thomas is out till at least week 7, so who knows what that's going to be. There's potential upside there. And then I don't really care about any of the other guys here. I guess Russell Gage has some potential opportunity with Julio being gone. But I think other than that, there's not really much to it. All right. Moving to number 5. Top 5 teams here. We're going to have the asparaguses. And so, on Justin's team, I think Justin's team is very well rounded. We don't quite know how Najee Harris is going to play yet. He's more than likely going to be really freaking good. They took him in the first round for a reason. He's going to get the touches. But Tyler Lockett, he's always high ranked in fantasy, but it's from like 3 or 4 weeks in the season where he just absolutely goes off because Russell Wilson loves him. T. Higgins has potential to be really good again. I don't love Joe Burrow. He's really good, but he wasn't crazy when he was playing last season, so who knows? And they added Jamar Chase, and so that potentially could take from him a little bit. Jonathan Taylor should be pretty awesome. I know they were wanting to keep Nyheim Hines and Marlon Mack in the pass game, I think. And so that might take away from his catches a little bit in our half PPR league. But, I don't really think that's any concern. Russell Wilson's obviously a monster. He's going to be good. He may have disappointed people in the second half of last season, but, he's still been great for the last few years. Robert Woods, I don't think he's gonna be really good, obviously, but I don't think he has much more potential upside than what he's already been, and I don't think with Matt Stafford compared to Jared Goff, it's gonna be crazy different. Even though in my mind Matt Stafford's much better than Jared Goff, I just think he's kind of hit his upside. He's ranked 13th last year. Catches a lot of balls. Really good player for half PPR. Justin's bench, it's all right. Tony Pollard, in case Zeke gets hurt, automatic RB1 in my mind. Maybe RB2, but pretty sure it's RB1. Leonard Fournette, not so sure about. I said the same thing with Ronald Jones. You never know who they're going to play. Debo is coming off injury. Was really good before then, though, so I think he'll pick right back up. Cole Beasley. I guess he's the. I think Emmanuel Sanders in my mind is going to be better than Cole Beasley. Emmanuel Sanders is on the waivers still, I'm pretty sure. No one drafted him, I don't think. But I think he'll end up being better than Cole Beasley in Buffalo. And then Paris Campbell, always. I feel like he's always hurt. Pretty young guy. And Le'Veon Bell, I don't really think he's going to do much. The Jets didn't even want him. He was a problem on the Chiefs. Just a problematic player in my mind overall. The whole Steelers player. All right, moving to number 4. And I think he should be pretty happy about this, because we've had our issues in the past. I have the Revenge Tour. And I do have questions about, some of the guys on his team. But with Patrick Mahomes and Austin Eckler, I love the two of them. Austin Eckler, in my mind, is so freaking good. And especially in a half PPR, a guy who gets as much sense is going to be really great. And Patrick Mahomes, could win Allen games on his own, in my mind. Miles Sanders, solid RB. Hopefully they're a little better without limping 2 on Wentz. Screwing everything up, in my mind. Calvin Ridley is going to be disgusting. Juju, I hate his TikToks, I really do. It's hard to watch sometimes. I know Allen wants to trade him because of them. But at the end of the day, Juju's still a good player. Kyle Pitts has potential to be awesome. Allen's banking pretty heavily on Atlanta right there. But, Matt Ryan, with all his issues, he does get the ball around pretty well. Devontae Smith, don't love it. He's a rookie. You never really know how they're going to pan out. But, he could be like Justin Jefferson last year, potentially. If him and Jalen Hurts click. And if that it could be the case, Allen's team could get crazy good in my mind. Bench-wise, David Johnson disappointed me so much last year. Don't love him. Curtis Samuel in Washington. Don't really love him either. Matt Ryan's good option. Dang, Allen really has a lot of Falcons. I didn't notice that's just now. I looked at this. Allen's bench isn't honestly that crazy, but I think his starting lineup is so good in my mind that makes up for that. And so we're getting the top 3 here. And I have the Scrub Club as number 3. I think it's kind of funny that ESPN has the team ranked so low, but I think the team's really good. Obviously he's not playing Trevor Lawrence as his main QB. He has Justin Herbert, but Justin Herbert plays Washington, and they're a pretty tough defense. They pressure the QB well, and he's going to be forced to be on his feet constantly, so he may not be the guy you want to run that week. And Trevor Lawrence is playing Houston, who's going to be horrible. But Zeke will be awesome with Dak back. He struggled last year, but he still, he struggled and finished RB11. So with Dak back, it makes him infinitely better. Joe Mixon was a guy I was considering taking on my team instead of Stephon Diggs. But because we were half PPR, I ended up going with Stephon Diggs, especially with Joe Mixon being injured a lot of last season. I just preferred the Stephon Diggs choice. Keenan Allen will be awesome. He's always trying to prove something, always got a chip on his shoulder because, the wide receiver rankings sleep on him a lot, and he feels as though he's the number 1 guy. Whether he is or not, doesn't matter. Chris Godwin, I think he's a great player. He finished not that great last season, but, I think talent-wise he's really good, and I think he'll be much better this season. Johnny Smith, Honestly really good on the Titans, but he just I don't know. With Derrick Henry and AJ Brown there, he never really got the ball that much. Mike Davis, I do have questions about him a little bit, just because when he was in Seattle, he wasn't crazy good. But last season for the Panthers, when filling in for Christian McCaffrey, he played well a lot, and so I think he has potential to be really good. And he's just a flex option, so who cares? And then we're getting into the bench. And I like Ryan's bench a lot. I think it's pretty good. Jerry Jeudy had the most uncatchable passes last year, so hopefully Teddy will fix that up a little bit. Trey Sermon, I think, has potential to be really good. Just because San Fran utilizes so many RBs. And Raheem Mostert gets injured a lot, so we'll see about that. DJ Chark, I think in my opinion, he's the number one guy in Jacksonville, and so with Trevor Lawrence instead of Gardner Minshew playing, it could be pretty solid. Jalen Waddle, not so sure about. I don't really watch much college ball. Don't love Tua, so I don't really like that much. Sterling Shepard, in my opinion, is a really good player. But, Daniel Jones is not that great. And then Ryan's also got Tony Jones. And this is the rookie, right? Yes. Honestly, I'm not. Actually, no, you're not. But Latavius Murray just got released, so maybe he might have some upside potential. Who knows? All right. Getting to number 2. And this is really shocking. That I like Erman's team a lot. Doesn't mean I think Erman's going to make playoffs. Probably not. But, Christian McCaffrey, if he's in all season, literally could probably take Erman to the championship himself. Just because in half PPR, he's going to be like the most annoying player to play against. I've played against Christian McCaffrey in Standard, and he's dropped like 40 points on me. So in half PPR, is going to be horrible to play against. Tom Brady will be great. He always is. He always has the haters, including me, but he always performs. David Montgomery proved himself a lot last year. I think he finished RB6, RB4. So Erman has like potential RB1 and potential RB top 5 on his team. That's kind of disgusting. CeeDee Lamb, could edge out Amari as the 1. CeeDee Lamb's really freaking good. He played well last season in my mind. Wide receiver 20 with the whole QB situation in Dallas being crazy. Julio Jones, he's switching teams, but Julio's always going to be great. Noah Fant, just basic tight end. Kareem Hunt, he still played really well, even being, Nick Chubb's counterpart. And he catches a lot of balls, does a lot of receiving, finished RB10 last year. So, if Christian McCaffrey was in last season, Erman would have effectively had the 1st, the 5th, and probably like the 11th ranked running back. So that's kind of crazy to me. And I really like Erman's bench. Marquez Callaway has a lot of upside potential, and so does Dallas Goedert. James White, I don't think he'll be the most useful guy, but he catches balls, so maybe he might be decent. I love the Jameis Winston pick. And the rest I don't really care about that much yet. Yeah. And so, number 1 team overall, we have I Hate Kirk Cousins. And I really like Colin's team. I think they're the most well-rounded team of it, like anybody. Like Ryan Tannehill, he was horrible in Miami, but I think at this point in time, like we're not talking Miami anymore. We're talking what he's done in Tennessee, and he's been great since he's been in Tennessee. Especially adding Julio, he's gonna be great. Nick Chubb's awesome. James Robinson was really good last year, and I think adding Trevor Lawrence will add some pass games, so maybe he'll be even better. D-Hop, he's going to be awesome. D-Hop rarely misses games, and He's honestly maybe the best receiver in the league. I guess you could say potentially Devontae, but I think D-Hop's definitely in that discussion. Amari's still gonna be awesome. Dak's gonna, if he's playing all season, gonna throw like 4,000 to 5,000 yards. So there's enough room for everybody on that team. And Amari Cooper's still, I think, technically the one, but I think CD will edge him out. I think he'll perform better this season. TJ Hawkinson, I know Braxton won it a lot. I don't know how much I trust Jared Goff throwing to him, but that's whatever. TJ Hawkinson's pretty good. Cooper Kupp, I know Colin auto drafted him because he's drafting while he's at work. Big mistake. But Cooper Kupp, has always been pretty good. I know he didn't finish that great last season. I don't think. Let me make sure. 27. That's all right. But I think Matt Stafford's a big upgrade from Jared Goff, and I think he'll benefit more from it than Robert Woods is going to. Obviously, yeah, Collins defenses are kind of trash, but you can stream those. Sonny Michel, I don't know how he'll be on the Rams, but because Darrell Henderson's the guy. I think right now, he played really well last season with whenever Cam Akers wasn't in and Cam Akers is out, so I still think it'll be Darrell Henderson, but he has potential upside with Darrell Henderson if he gets hurt. Henry Ruggs, I don't know if he'll be this season. He's good. But I think at some point in time, Henry Ruggs will be really good. So I think he's got good potential upside. Naheem Hines, I don't care about that much. Jonathan Taylor's going to be the guy there. And then the rest, there's kind of written off. But I think Collins' team's just really well-rounded and probably the best team in the league. But, that's it. That's the rankings I have. Feel free to disagree or talk whatever crap you want to me in the group message. I'll definitely respond. And if you disagree with me, I really do not care. But I'm willing to engage in conversation about it. But if you'd like to be on the podcast, let me know. Any recommendations or any things you want me to talk about, let me know. I can do all those things. Yeah, and that's about it. All right. Have a great league, and may Alma be with you all.